so much, Dr. Hira. Very lucidly presented on leishmaniasis, the incidence prevalence data, and also about the vaccine development. Clearly, there's a lot of good work going on here. So thank you for presenting that. With this, we now move to the panel discussion, which is titled "The Future of the Roadmap for R&D in the Neglected Tropical Diseases" here. And for this, I would like to invite our eminent panelist here. I would like to again invite Dr. Taruna Madan Gupta on the stage. So Madam, of course, has been introduced very well, and she's an expert from the ICMR here. So she'll be representing that part here for the tropical diseases. And then I'm going to be inviting Dr. Kavita Singh again on the stage here as a panelist here. She, again, as we know, carries a huge experience. And I would like to invite the third eminent panelist, Dr. Prasad Kulkarni. He's got a huge experience. He's a medical doctor, MBBS and MD from BJ Medical College, but he's got a huge experience. He's currently the executive director in Serum Institute of India Private Limited in India here, and he's joined Serum back in 2000 and currently serves as the executive director with extensive experience in clinical research, medical advisory roles, and also pharmacovigilance and vaccine development. He has led and contributed to the successful clinical development of multiple vaccines used globally, including what we also, and we have, I'm sure some of us would have taken it, the recent involvement in the clinical development of Covishield during the COVID-19 pandemic. So he's been an author of over 85 publications, leading international journals such as the NEJM and the Lancet, and regular faculty at national and international conferences and the Indovac course at CMC Vellore since 2010. So I would request all the panelists to come up here. So Dr. Taruna and Dr. Kavita both will have a hard stop at 4 because they need to leave to catch their flight. So I've taken the kind permission from Dr. Prasad to ask these two ladies the questions first, and then we'll move to Dr. Prasad. So thank you, Dr. Prasad, for this. And thank you for staying back. I know it's kind of going to be very tight for both of you. My first question will be to Dr. Taruna. Considering the burden, and we saw in various presentations here today, of tropical and neglected diseases, what is the government's outlook on developing therapies for them? And how do you think, in your opinion, can the industry and even academic researchers support it?
Absolutely, very pertinent question. And definitely government has taken initiatives, as Dr. Kavita was mentioning, that along with DNDI, when she was a part of and leading the India team at DNDI, we have initiated a macrophyllericidal drug trial. And the arrangement is that we, as part of the intent network, which is around 85 sites across the country, we can conduct clinical trial in the country for any ailment, any drug that industry is thinking for. The only concern for ICMR and Government of India is to spend the taxpayers' money on the requirements that are in alignment with health priorities of the country. So neglected tropical diseases are definitely a health priority, and industry coming forward, we would be very keen to take these programs forward. So one is the scenario that I mentioned with Dr. Kavita. With respect to rare genetic diseases, also we have made this kind of initiative. And the gateway is so open that it is a 24/7 open portal, MedTech Mitra, where you will take only 5 minutes to register and submit that this is your innovation and this is what you need from ICMR. Whether it is an industry, a startup, or an academia, we would like to take you forward. Thank you.
It's really good to hear that. And maybe a follow-up question to that, because you spoke about MedTech Mitra provisions. What specific experiences coming from that you think is extremely relevant while we discuss this group of diseases? And in addition, if you can also opine on what mechanisms you think have shown to align regulatory, academia, industry collaboration successfully?
Thank you very much. I forgot to mention that ICMR bears the complete cost of the trial that we undertake. So industry has already taken the risk to develop the drug, and the way forward we come along with you is that we undertake this trial at ICMR intent sites at our own cost, including the cost for protocol development and data management. There are memorandum of understandings, which are standard templates, wherein the innovation remains with the industry. We only help them to generate a robust evidence, clinical evidence in support of that. That's all. So to the next question that you asked regarding MedTech Mitra, what we found is that initially there is a hesitation whom to connect with at ICMR. It looks like a conundrum, where you get lost, you are not aware whom to connect with, and that's why Dr. V.K. Paul, Dr. Behel, and Dr. Raghuvanshi, all three of them thought of this. Let's have a joint portal where the industry, academia, startups can write in, and whatever stage of innovation they are in, we should be ready to support them in whatever way they require. And this includes your preclinical studies, which we can carry out at ICMR and RFBR, again at the cost of ICMR. The patent mitra that I was mentioning in the morning, that is also at the cost of ICMR. So innovator, be it industry or academia, are not taxed with that onus. That is the risk sharing that we are having with the industry. Thank you.
This is a very positive step taken by the government, and I'm sure it will encourage the industry to come forth and make the best use of it. Dr. Kavita, from your experience, what learnings from the global model, like when we have the not-for-profit R&D platforms for different diseases, can act as blueprint worth considering for creating scalable indigenous R&D frameworks that address India's specific public health problems?
Thank you, Chirag. And maybe I forgot to thank you and Manisha for engaging me on this platform. So I forgot to thank both of you. There's just a couple of statistics which maybe I'll also quote is reminding ourselves that we have a burden of about roughly 12% of our diseases. The research which actually goes into infectious tropical diseases is about less than 1%. So that's the mismatch, and there's a reason that we understand in depth why is there this mismatch, and maybe that AMR conversation we had all in the morning today also referred to it, that how large pharma has this compulsion to invest based on their ROIs. They cannot run away from this fact. So the understanding this mismatch of requirement, the investment, and why the investment is not happening was very important. And surprisingly, in India, while most of these diseases are there, and we were the pharma of the industry, we are the generic pharmacy of the world, whether it was LF, whether it was VL, whether it is mycetoma, we could not do sort of those deep investments, or we could not even attract the academia to spend time over there. We were not able to do academia industry collaboration. So I do see this a lot in Europe. They perhaps understood this need, but this gap much before we did. And if you see, there are so many such, like my previous organization, which was Drugs for Neglected Diseases, there's so many such not-for-profit R&D platforms where you're not only an industry person and you're not only an academician, but when we keep saying bring academia industry together, it's not easy because the languages, the expectations, the domain expertise are very different of both. So here you form groups which maybe are from industry, past industry or past academia, and they bring the required domain expertise to bring, like, Dr. Karyakewala also said that it's a 18-20 multidisciplinary teams you need. So when industry is unable to do it because of its own reason, academia doesn't have, so we have organizations which are only diagnostics, fine. We have organization, Dr. Nana Malecha mentioned, MMV, only working on malaria, only working on TB, only working on leprosy. So such models for India, which are called like a translational platforms, which, ma'am, like they may not be doing innovation, right? Like I'll just, before I conclude also, this example of visceral leishmaniasis. There were 3 treatments in the year 2000, which were, some clinicians were treating by combination of liposomal plus LAM plus miltefosine, or parmomycin plus miltefosine. Everybody was treating on their own will and, seeing their respect. But how does a elimination program should take which treatment agenda? So an organization, a Europe-based organization comes to India, does a trial compares these 3 drugs which are already existing. They're not innovation. And they compare and they find out that, okay, single dose LAM gives you 94% efficacy. So the program, the VL elimination program of the country, it absorbs that knowledge. Then we didn't know how to treat HIV plus VL. So again, this organization for next 3 years did that trial. So many times it's not innovation, it's the clinical need, the program need, the country need, which can guide us towards, and those models, those European models, perhaps could be a learning platform for us. Sorry for that long answer.
No. In fact, it generates another question that when you say, how do we, the needs, how do we get it centralized? Is there a way in which you could centralize the needs coming from different parts of India? Is there a merit to do that? Because otherwise it could be, say, endemic just to one state or so, something like that. Or how do we create the momentum within India to do that? Sorry if it's an out-of-syllabus question.
No, the patient is the driver, right?
Since you mentioned about that,
Yeah.
I was just thinking that, is there a way in which we could centralize the need or come up with some need somewhere?
I'm tired of calling out Dr. Taruna every time now.
I'm sorry.
But no, there is certainly, I would say the clinics, the clinicians are the points of understanding the gaps still existing, because the clinician will tell you that with this treatment, I'm unable to treat, this group of patients. So that is usually the point of start. And then it depends if it's state ministry, the medical colleges, but there has to be somebody committed. So that commitment from a group is critical. Who funds them, how it happens, as you say, could be disease dependent or could be state dependent.
I agree with you. So maybe Dr. Taruna, building to what Dr. Kavita was mentioning, what in your opinion are the concrete steps that could be taken to boost the capabilities, infrastructure, R&D spending, and even building commercial attractiveness like procurement? We spoke about it in the morning as well. There could be government channels, there could be some private channels as well. But how do we build those commercial attractiveness that will help incentivize the R&D in India for such neglected or topical diseases?
Definitely.
How do you think we, and maybe a follow-up question could be, how do you think Manthan, this forum, can play a role in it?
Very rightly pointed out, and in one of the meetings which I was, with DCGI, what he mentioned was कि हमारे country में, sorry, I'm changing my language, हमारे country में जो innovator वो हमेशा penalize हो जाता है, वो पैसे लगाता है R&D में, generate करता है, और अगले दिन उसका alternative market में होता है, उसने पूरा clinical trial किया, और there is another one who is, waiting once the patent is over or something. So this kind of a scenario is there in the country, and because of the, having so much of public health pressures that we have, innovation takes a back seat, and we always go for decisions which are for public health at large, for making things affordable. The innovator will always be charging that heavy cost that he has, put in the innovation, the investment, which she was rightly pointing out, the ROIs. And if you have someone else, just making a copy of that work and coming out with more affordable alternative because they have not spent that kind of a money. So this is a dilemma existing at the highest levels. and we are still not able to find a solution to this. Maybe Manthan can take up this.
For sure. And yeah, because obviously there has to be an ROI which industry should be able to see so that they can plow that money back into more research that is relevant for our patients.
We are with the industry, and as well as those who are making it affordable. For both of them, we are there.
Perfect, thank you. Dr. Kavita, I want to shift the gears to a very important stakeholder who generally is not in such meetings. But it's all about that entity, and we call it patients, right? It's all about patients. When we are doing research, it's all about patient centricity. So if for such neglected topical disease, how do you think we can enhance patient centricity while we increase the research for such things?
Thank you, Chirag. And therefore, if you saw my presentation, I did start with that. It's important to see your patient. Very important. Whom are you going to treat for? Important to understand their living, areas. Because if ultimately if you do a study, if you need a drug for them, then the challenges of doing a clinical trial in a tertiary care hospital or versus doing it in a PHC where these patients are able to come, right? These patients are, so if you do, suppose, I'll give you again with an example. While at India, we are doing a phase 2 clinical trial with it's a Novartis molecule. I have some colleague from Novartis here. It's an oral drug, anti-leishmanial. Because being a phase 2, we had to do a very intensive pharmacokinetics of the drug and a number of bone marrow aspirations. That's a confirmatory diagnosis. Now, daily wages, staying for 10 days in a hospital, and if the ethics committee says, no, you can't, take care of the daily wages because of ethics reasons, you can't have an incentive and all that. How do you get your patients into a hospital for 10 days, which otherwise the standard of care today is a single dose lab? Right? But of course, you understand that for elimination, you will gradually need oral drugs. You will have to shift out. So understanding the complexity of this patient pool for whom you're developing, especially for neglected tropical diseases, is extremely critical. And training, getting the PHC up to a level of doing a phase 2 trial is a learning by itself. But yeah, you're right, the patient, the need of the patient, and again conclude with the example of PKDL, that post-Kala-Dar dermal leishmaniasis. If the treatment, you have an endpoint where you say absence of parasite in the skin lesion, but the lesion doesn't improve, trust me, the drug will not be adopted. Because for patient, the endpoint is, have my patches gone, have my nodules gone, right? For elimination, yes, they should not have parasites. So having relevant patient-based quality parameters included in our studies or in our is also very critical.
Absolutely agree. And I think there's a movement going on across different parts of the world as well, that patients keep saying that nothing for us without us. So they need to be involved right from the development of protocol till the end of it. So, and we made a very relevant point of what is more relevant to the patient. The scores could be there, the itching scores or whatever, but the patient does not want that. Cosmetically, patient wants to look beautiful. That's what the patient wants, and we should be careful. Dr. Prasad, from your huge experience and success of developing vaccines and while collaborating with international and national stakeholders, what do you think are the learnings that you can be applied for the therapeutic development for neglected and tropical diseases as well, so that we can enhance the probability of success for such?
Yeah, so I think I will go with a case study, basically, just to give, you guys need to move?
Madam, you have to.
You have 5 minutes, okay. Aram se, okay, good. So, almost 20 years back, there was this problem called as meningitis A in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. There was no vaccine available. It is the poorest region in the world, and they didn't have any access to any preventive tool. And that's when WHO and Gates Foundation, they came together and they started this program called as Meningitis Vaccine Project. And there are a lot of learnings out of that program. Why? Because it has been one of the most successful programs in last 25 years for any of these agencies. Starting with that, all these people came together. So it's a very collaborative kind of project, right? Which makes things much easier because you have expertise from different fields. You have people who are experts in CMC, who are in GMP, clinical, regulatory, different kind of people. They are all coming together with a single mission. They have already a very well-defined disease pattern. They know the epidemiology very well. They know when it strikes, which age group it strikes, how much is the complication rate. So what do they want to achieve? They want to achieve with the minimum amount of cost, they want to achieve maximum impact, right? Now, meningitis is caused by several serogroups, and A, B, C, W, Y, X, etc. But during that time, A was the one which was responsible for almost 85% of the disease. So they said, if you just hit that one, it will cost you the least, but it will take care of the most of the disease burden. Correct? So it was very well defined. They also thought that what should be the target product profile, what age group should be targeted? Should we give a vaccine at everybody? No, they found that the most vulnerable age group was from 1 year to 29 years. That's the one who is to get affected, is to get the disease, also is to die, because this was almost 10% case fatality rate, and even among the survivors, there were very, very bad neurological sequelae, including requirement for amputation of limbs. So the target product profile was very well clearly defined. This is how it will be. It should be operationally very, very feasible, operational, programmatically, it should be very suitable. Only then it will be acceptable to the countries. So what could be the one? It should be a single dose vaccine. A single vaccine that would probably give you many, many years protection. And it will be given in the way of mass immunization campaigns. Okay, so that was very well defined, and then they had several candidates. Innovation as such was not in the mind, in the sense because there were already vaccines available for meningitis. So there were technologies available. Polysaccharide conjugate vaccine, it was very well known that this is the one that works. They didn't want to try something else. Okay, so it was limited to that technology, so de-risking. Okay, just trying to do novelty or innovation for the sake of innovation was not the idea. There was something well established. They went for that technology. They had several candidates, several permutation combinations, so that you have multiple options to fall back upon. And then they were extensively tested in animals, right? And from that, they could zero in on one particular candidate with 10 microgram dose, which showed that yes, it is giving the best possible protection. So that's how the whole product came into being. And then, of course, throughout the process, there was continuous dialogue with DCGI, with the WHO. WHO was part of this thing, all discussions. There was also set target that whether this product has manufacturability. Because if you make a great product, great drug, but you can only make thousands of doses every year, that is no use, right? You will need millions and millions of doses. So manufacturability has also to be, so whether the production can be scaled up or not. All that was taken into consideration. How will the supply chain work? Whether there will be a ready-made market. Market assurance has to be there. So there were already promises, not exactly like advanced market commitment, but there were promises that yes, if this vaccine works well in clinical, if it is approved, pre-qualified by WHO, then it will be procured by the UNICEF. And then it will be supplied through Gavi mechanism to the countries. Another caveat, and that was the most important one, because this is the poorest region in the world, those guys said that, see, to be a sustainable product, eventually Gavi will go out of the picture, and we'll have to pay for the vaccine. Now, for us to afford that vaccine, the vaccine must cost less than $0.50 per dose. That was the major limitation why no multinational was interested in this product. $0.50 price is absolutely nothing. So Serum was ready for that, right? So everything was well set that yes, there is a ready market, there is a ready demand, there is some procurement mechanism in place, and then the product will be made. And then the product was made. Obviously, we didn't have technology. We got technology from somewhere, so we didn't try to, just again to show our heroics start from scratch. If something was readily available, we just got it. And then now people obviously learned it and mastered it, and now they are going beyond that vaccine. So that's how the vaccine was made. Clinical development program was very, very elaborate, very thorough with discussions with WHO, with EMA, everybody, so that it satisfies everybody's requirements. It becomes like a gold standard in clinical research, so that the data can be acceptable by any stringent regulatory authority, not just by Indian regulatory authority. So, there were multiple committees and blah, 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 who were keeping track on the progress and DSMBs and all that. That's how it went through the entire development, phase 1, phase 2, multiple trials in African countries, in India. And then finally we went to the submission stage for marketing authorization. We already had, because of our continuous dialogue with the DCGI, that yes, this product is not so much required in India. It is a problem in India, but not so much like in Africa. So we will be given an export-only license, so that we could immediately go to WHO and ask for pre-qualification. So that's how I think the whole game played out. The vaccine got licensed, pre-qualified, introduced. More than almost 300 million people got the vaccine. The disease got eliminated completely from this region. So that's why it has been such a success. I think there are multiple lessons to be learned for any therapeutic from this story.
That's a great example. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Sure.
Another question is, and we've spoken about it since morning about it to some way. So you have to leave. Okay. Thank you so much. And I want to just kind of thank Dr. Kavita and Dr. Manisha as well for being the curators for this session. You just hear me speaking, but it's they who have prepped me well so that I can speak this. So anything stupid, my fault. Anything good, they are the ones responsible. So thank you, Dr. Kavita and Dr. Manisha, for this.
Just wanted to leave at this last note that since this is a session dedicated to neglected tropical diseases, the Viksit Bharat goals that we have set in for ICMR as well as Department of Health Research, we would not like to move into Viksit Bharat with all these entities around. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
That's a great aim.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you so much.
Well said. Thank you. So now, does it qualify to be called as a panel anymore? I feel like you are Arnab Goswami and I'm some big politician.
Let's call it a fireside chat. So, in your opinion, and we've spoken about some of the regulatory things which are facilitation that are required, and there have been good discussions since morning. For this particular tropical neglected diseases sector as well, what do you think is some of the regulatory or policy facilitation that could be done? If you see in some of these other countries, they have facilities like a priority review voucher,
Right.
or something. What are those best practices from some of the other countries that you think India could adopt, which will facilitate the R&D for neglected tropical diseases?
Absolutely. And I think I touched upon that a little bit already. But having a dialogue early on with the regulator is very, very important, so that they become part of your story. They understand the problem. They completely agree with your mission. So they are with you. Secondly, of course, expedited review is something that is what you will look for, and priority access, priority vouchers will be a great way to boost that. Whether that will happen in India or not, we don't know yet. But even if they can give priority review, that will be a great help. Secondly, if they can accept the data from the other countries, which is very, very important, Now, this really worked us well during the COVID time. For example, Covishield, which was basically discovered in UK by Oxford University. The efficacy trial happened in UK, right? And in thousands of patients, which showed the efficacy. In India, to get it licensed, because it was made in Serum, by Serum, obviously you didn't need to replicate another efficacy trial, which would have taken several months, and by that time, maybe hundreds of thousands of people would have died. So it was, the regulators accepted that, yes, you can take immunogenicity as an endpoint, and that data can be breached with the efficacy from the UK trial. So this is this kind of surrogate markers. When you don't really have a direct correlate, but you have some surrogate, that should be accepted in many cases. For example, recently, chikungunya vaccine was approved by US FDA without any efficacy trial again, no efficacy whatsoever, because obviously to get efficacy trial endpoints in a trial, phase 3 trial, it is going to take several years. So they understood that they have given on the basis of immune responses with a commitment to show effectiveness post-license. So these are some of the ways that they can actually help you. This thing going by the surrogate markers. This has become quite commonplace. Paratyphoid is another example where again the incidence rates are low, at least currently, though they are expected to go up. Efficacy trials are almost impossible. So the WHO has said that, okay, you can do with human challenge studies. That data will be acceptable. Again, with the provision that post-licensure you have to generate the real-world data. So these are some of the things that I think they can adopt. Of course, they have already shown something like emergency use authorization in case of COVID. So they have shown that kind of this thing. For MEN-AFRIVAC, they gave us export-only license. These were some of the shortcuts. But again, some more things can be done. That's what I feel.
Thank you. And I think Manthan will obviously play some role in that as well to help in advocacy.
That will be really very helpful. Sure. Yes.
Thank you so much. I know time's up for us. And thank you for your responses. I really appreciate it, Dr. Prasad.
Thank you, Arnav.
At least I have an alternate profession now.
He lets other people speak.
Maybe can we have the other speaker, Dr. Hira Nakashi and Dr. Shivrakash as well? I know Dr. Neena Valicha had to leave, so can we have her on the stage? And then we'll take a